Okay, so I was meant to be doing some other work, and I was shifting some things around, and I came across these old pieces of Sapelli veneered plywood from a job probably almost 2 years ago. And I have been designing this piece in the back of my head, and well, these aren't quite the right size, and it's not the timber color I thought I would use, but I'm just going to throw this together as like a proof of concept and see if it even looks any good as a real kind of made piece. And if it looks pretty cool, then I'll make a nicer one later with some nicer veneer that I have. But let's see how it goes. So of course the first thing I need to do is get those panels squared up and keep them as big as possible because they're on the small side. And I didn't even have quite enough of the Sapelli, so I'm having to make the back and the bottom of the unit from birch ply. Now I was careful to cut all the pieces that were the same size at the same time and not move the fence on a saw. This was supposed to make life really easy at the end of the job, but didn't quite turn out that way. So the next thing I need is all the solid timber, and I've got this piece of ash as an offcut. So I'm going to mill that up into some what ends up being 23 by 23 square stock. I cut all the miters on the ash with just my drop saw. Maybe perhaps not the most accurate tool to do it with, although this Festool saw is pretty accurate. So this is the top panel. I'm going to frame it out with the ash. I'm going to use my Lamello Zeta new tool to do that and make life a bit easier clamping wise. Now where the legs come up and join the top, there are three-way miters, and so I need to do that double miter before I glue up the top, if that makes any sense. With the top glued up, I can mark out the leg to side panel connections. But before the two left and right side assemblies are glued up, I need to create some little grooves, tiny mortises, whatever you like to call them, and this will house the bottom stretches into the legs. So my brad point drill bit is woefully blunt, so I just use it as a centering tool, and then I use a normal drill bit to actually do the drilling, and then I use this little center plug, little doweling point, to find the mating location, and I can drill that out. I've already added the Lamello fittings, but this time I'm using the Clamex, which is a cam one. So in the panel, I've got the cammed version, and that's just going to clamp it together for me, make life a lot easier. which is good. Okay, so a bit of glue. Given the veneer on the plywood's only about 0.6 of a mil thick, this was fairly nerve-wracking stuff, although I had the plane fairly well set up. It's just, yeah, a bit nerve-wracking. Next step is to glue the back and the bottom panels together. I could fit that onto the side panels and work out where I needed to make connections. Bear with me because this is going to be a little bit of a complex glue up. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go. So this is where we're at the moment. The miters are okay, but just some slight discrepancies, which is, I guess, what happens. So what I'm going to do is just make some slight alterations to the four corners just to try and get everything sitting down. At the moment, I'm not sure if you can see, but we're not quite sitting hard down on the side panel. So what I'm going to do is undercut all these miters here. I'll make some undercuts on all these legs that are sticking up, and hopefully that's going to let everything seat down like it should. This is not an ideal situation, but let's give it a crack. So what I want to try and do is leave the front edge that you're going to see and cut away a lot of this spine of the double miter, and hopefully that's going to let everything just sit down that extra mil or so that it needs to. Now I'm not 100% happy with these miters, so there's a couple of gaps, and that's what you get. So I'm going to fill them with a bit of sawdust and glue. And some of the joints are a bit all over the place, with some being prouder than others, so this will get planed smooth next time I get a chance to work on this. Okay, so I've just glued in some 6mm hackers and plywood, and that's because the frame, the ash frame's 23mm and the plywood's 18, so that leaves a little lip, a 3 or 4mm lip, and so then I need to just give myself a little bit of clearance with my runners. So I'll add a little packer underneath as well, which I'll take out afterwards. So these runners are push to open and soft close, and I just need to get the back set just where it should be, and it should be 28mm back. I'll use the right tool. So off camera I made up some parts to a simple drawer just out of some 12mm birch ply that I had kicking about. So the table was not quite sitting flat on a flat surface, so I just sanded a small amount off one of the legs and that stabilized it. I cut the drawer front off camera, and I'm using some 0.6mm sapelli edging to tidy that up. The table's upside down on my bench, and there's a slight bow in that top piece of ash, and it's bowing down, so I need to remove about 3/4 of a mil in the middle of that panel. So just use the hand plane there, and it tidied it up really well. So the drawer ended up binding just slightly on the top right hand corner, so I had to make a few adjustments there with the chisel. Other than that, it seemed to work really well. time for clear coat, and I'm using a water-based finish like I often do, but I found this new one, well, new to me, by Meritone, and it is stunning. It really is a water-based lacquer, and it's made for spraying, but it goes on with one of these pads just perfectly, and you really actually only need 2 coats and you've got a perfect finish. You can add as many as you like, of course, on top of that, but 2 coats and you're good to go. So this is my new favorite, and dry time is like 25 minutes. It's really, really nice stuff, and hard as. That's my floor out of level there. So I'm really happy with the proportion of it. I think it would look better longer. The longer the better, I think. I envision this would sit in the front by someone's front door, where you might walk in and put your keys down, or have knickknacks in the drawer. Now the drawer is not pushing out as fast as it should. I think there's just something slightly binding there. I need to have a look at that. But otherwise, I'm really, really happy with it, and I think I would, like to make more of these in different styles. And I really like the contrast. I like this contrast more than I thought I would. It just was the offcuts I happened to have on hand, but I think it looks really nice. So tell me what you think, guys. Do you like it? Don't like it? Interesting to hear your thoughts. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the next one, so take it easy.